When a rookie quarterback who was supposed to revolutionize an entire franchise gets completely neutralized by a defense that many experts wrote off before the season even started, you know something dramatic just unfolded on primetime television. The Green Bay Packers absolutely dismantled the Washington Commanders 27-18 in what became the NFL's most eye-opening Thursday night football opener in recent memory. But here's where it gets controversial. This wasn't just a win. It was a statement that might force everyone to completely reevaluate their preseason predictions. While the final score might suggest a competitive battle, anyone who watched this game knows the truth. Green Bay dominated from start to finish, racking up 404 total yards while holding Washington's supposedly explosive offense to a measly 230 yards. The Packers controlled this game so thoroughly that the 18 points they allowed felt more like charity than earned points. Jordan Love delivered a masterclass performance that silenced his remaining critics, throwing for 292 yards and 2 touchdowns with the kind of precision and poise that screams franchise quarterback. His opening strike to Romeo Doubs with just 4.5 minutes left in the first quarter set the tone for what would become a dominant offensive display. But here's what most people are missing. Love's performance wasn't just good. It was the kind of statement game that separates pretenders from contenders. Running back Josh Jacobs continued his historic tear, adding 84 rushing yards and another touchdown to his incredible streak. This score made him the first Packer in franchise history to find the end zone on the ground in 10 consecutive games, a record that's flying under the radar but shouldn't be. When you consider the legendary running backs who have worn the green and gold, this achievement becomes even more remarkable. And this is the part most people miss when analyzing rookie quarterbacks. Sometimes the hype doesn't match the reality. Jayden Daniels, who entered this game as one of the most talked-about rookies in recent memory, managed just 49 passing yards in the entire first half. While he did rally to finish with 200 passing yards, those numbers came largely in garbage time when the game was already decided. The question everyone should be asking, was Daniels simply having an off night, or did we collectively overestimate his readiness for prime time? But here's where this game took a heartbreaking turn that nobody saw coming. The injury bug struck both teams with devastating precision, leaving fans and players alike questioning whether Thursday night football games are simply too dangerous for player safety. Jayden Reed, the Packers' explosive receiver who torched the Detroit Lions for 3 catches, 45 yards, and a touchdown just a week earlier, saw his season potentially derailed less than 5 minutes into the game. The sight of the 25-year-old clutching his collarbone while struggling to walk through the Lambeau Field tunnel was gut-wrenching. Coach Matt LaFleur's post-game confirmation that Reed suffered a fractured collarbone and would be placed on injured reserve sent shockwaves through Packers Nation. While the team expects him back at some point this season, this injury raises serious questions about the physical toll of short-week games. The Commanders suffered even more devastating losses. Defensive end Deatrich Wise Jr. was carted off the field in the second quarter after Packers tackle Anthony Belton fell back on his right leg during an extra point attempt. The 31-year-old veteran's quad injury ended his night prematurely, and the sight of the entire Commanders bench gathering around him as he left the field spoke volumes about his importance to the team. Perhaps most heartbreaking of all was veteran running back Austin Ekeler's non-contact Achilles injury with just 5.5 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Watching him hop to the bench on one foot while medical staff assisted him painted a sobering picture of how quickly careers can change. The fact that he had to be carted back to the locker room only added to the emotional weight of an already brutal night for Washington. These injuries weren't just statistical footnotes. They fundamentally changed both teams' strategies and exposed the controversial reality that Thursday night football might be asking too much of players' bodies with insufficient recovery time. Washington's ground game never materialized, with rookie Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, the injured Ekeler, and Daniels combining for a pathetic 51 rushing yards. This complete inability to establish any semblance of a running attack made Daniels' job exponentially more difficult and allowed the Packers' defense to pin their ears back and rush the passer with reckless abandon. Green Bay maintained a comfortable double-digit lead throughout the first half, demonstrating the kind of consistent dominance that championship teams display. When Daniels finally connected with Zach Ertz for a 20-yard touchdown pass, Washington's first score of the night, it felt more like a brief moment of relief than genuine momentum. Love immediately answered back on the very next drive, finding tight end Tucker Kraft in the end zone with a perfectly placed 8-yard pass that essentially put the game away. Daniels did show some late-game fight, connecting with free agency acquisition Deebo Samuel for a 10-yard touchdown with under 4 minutes remaining. The successful 2-point conversion that followed, featuring a quick strike to Luke McCaffrey in the back corner of the end zone, demonstrated the kind of clutch gene that made Daniels such a highly touted prospect. But by then, it was far too little, far too late. Brandon McManus, the Packers' veteran kicker in his 12th NFL season, experienced both the agony and ecstasy that defines his position. His first attempt clanged off the left upright in what could have been a momentum-shifting miss, but he responded like the seasoned professional he is, drilling his next 2 field goal attempts from 22 and 56 yards, respectively. Meanwhile, Commanders kicker Matt Gay managed to convert 2 of his 3 field goal attempts, providing some of Washington's few bright spots on an otherwise forgettable night. Tucker Kraft's breakout performance deserves its own spotlight because it might have been the most important individual showing of the entire game. The third-year tight end, who showed flashes of brilliance in 2024, exploded for 6 catches, 124 yards, and a touchdown in what can only be described as his official coming-out party. According to the Amazon Prime broadcast team, Kraft's receiving yards represented the most by a Packers tight end since Richard Rodgers accomplished the feat back in 2015. The beauty of Kraft's crucial touchdown catch that extended Green Bay's lead to 14 points with less than 9 minutes remaining wasn't just in the execution, it was in the deception. He perfectly sold the blocking assignment before releasing into the end zone, leaving Love with a wide-open target that he couldn't miss. Performances like this are exactly why many analysts believe Kraft has the potential to become one of the NFL's elite tight ends this season. Micah Parsons continued to justify every penny of his record-breaking $188 million contract, with another dominant performance that went far beyond basic statistics. While his official numbers, 2 tackles, half a sack, and 3 quarterback hits, might not jump off the page, anyone watching the game could see his constant disruption of Washington's offensive rhythm. Parsons drew a hands-to-the-face penalty on right guard Nick Allegretti that forced a crucial 3rd and 17 situation, ultimately leading to a punt. He caused a false start on left tackle Laramie Tunsil before chasing down a dump-off pass on 2nd down and pressuring Daniels into an incompletion on 3rd down. In the second half, he drew a holding penalty on right tackle Josh Conerly Jr., while still managing to share a sack of Daniels with linebacker Edgerrin Cooper. His ability to split double teams, like when he beat both Conerly and running back Jeremy McNichols to force Daniels into a 1-yard scramble, showcased exactly why he's worth such a massive investment. Keisean Nixon's redemption story reached another chapter on Thursday night, and it's one that every underdog should find inspiring. Nixon openly admitted to The Athletic before the season that he sees all the negative comments from fans. And frankly, there have been plenty of them in recent years. However, the Packers showed ultimate faith in him by naming him their #1 cornerback after releasing Jair Alexander, and Nixon repaid that trust in spectacular fashion. Breaking up 5 passes in a single game represents a career high for Nixon, who had never managed more than 2 pass breakups in any game since entering the league in 2019. Consider that he didn't even become a full-time defensive player until 2023, and this performance becomes even more remarkable. Sometimes the best response to criticism isn't words, it's dominating performance when the lights are brightest. Washington's offensive struggles painted a picture of a team that hasn't looked this dysfunctional since at least 2023, and possibly even earlier. The Packers' front seven dominated with a combination of speed and power that left the Commanders' offensive line looking completely overmatched. The right side of Washington's line, featuring rookie Josh Conerly Jr. and veteran Nick Allegretti, struggled most notably, leaving Daniels under constant pressure throughout the contest. What made matters infinitely worse was Washington's receivers' inability to create separation against Green Bay's secondary. In critical moments, including a 4th and 4 situation in the fourth quarter, star receiver Terry McLaurin was inexplicably not on the field. This kind of questionable coaching decision-making is exactly why fans and analysts are already questioning the Commanders' game management philosophy. The defensive side of the ball proved even more problematic for Washington, as they allowed the Packers to systematically pick apart the middle of the field with surgical precision. Busted coverages, missed tackles, and costly penalties, including 2 devastating holding calls on cornerback Marshon Lattimore, created a perfect storm of defensive incompetence. Washington's injury list grew longer as the night progressed, with star-blocking tight end John Bates and receiver Noah Brown both suffering groin injuries that removed them from the game. Rookie cornerback Trey Amos and left guard Brandon Coleman dealt with shoulder injuries throughout various stretches, though both managed to return to action. When you add Bates, Brown, Ekeler, and Wise to the injury report, Washington lost 4 starters in a single game, a devastating blow that no team can easily overcome. The few bright spots for Washington came from their special teams units, which consistently provided good field position that their offense simply couldn't capitalize on. Deebo Samuel returned 2 kickoffs for 78 total yards, while rookie Jalen Lane picked up 50 yards on 3 punt returns, showing the kind of explosiveness that could be game-changing with better field position management. In coverage, safeties Percy Butler, Jeremy Reeves, and Tyler Owens all made crucial stops that pinned the Packers deep in their own territory, though their efforts ultimately proved futile. So here's the controversial question that everyone needs to answer. Are we witnessing the emergence of a legitimate Super Bowl contender in Green Bay? Or did we just watch Washington expose itself as one of the most overhyped teams in recent memory? The Packers looked like a team that could make serious noise in January, while the Commanders appeared completely unprepared for primetime football. What do you think? Was this game a true indicator of both teams' 2025 potential, or just an aberration that doesn't represent either squad's actual capabilities? Should the NFL reconsider the Thursday night football format given the devastating injury toll? Or is player safety simply an unavoidable risk in professional sports? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's debate whether we just witnessed a changing of the guard in the NFC, or simply one bad night for an otherwise promising Washington team.